How can he possibly represent the Conservatives?
Well, what he did was awful. I mean, indefensible. But we believe in rehabilitation and redemption. Now, I don't know him personally, but his association who do know him clearly feel that he is a completely reformed character. As you say, he's expressed very deep remorse and has worked now, in fact, in countering extremism and in trying to help the government understand how people become radicalised and to stop them from doing it.
The Conservatives have announced a plan this morning to cut police bureaucracy that they say would free up over 7 million hours of police time every year, the equivalent of more than 3,800 officers. Let's talk to Katie Lam, Opposition Assistant Whip. She joins us live now. Katie, morning to you.
Good morning.
We've just been talking about the problem of old-fashioned NHS paperwork, actually. Is it a similar issue in the police?
It is. And on the point about the NHS, just briefly, I spent an entire day with the palliative care unit at my local hospital a couple of weeks ago on this, and I was amazed. They spent almost a whole day on the computer rather than in front of patients. And these are people with, in some cases, days, perhaps weeks to live, and they are reciting their medical history from the very beginning. And the doctors who care for them, who would obviously like to spend their time on that care, are instead scrolling through 100 different PDFs, looking at letters that they've been sent however many years ago. The system just doesn't work. And it is exactly, as you say, a very similar situation in the police. Our police officers spend an inordinate amount of time filing paperwork, redacting paperwork to send to the CPS, even though the CPS is another unit of the state. So there is a huge amount of time wasted in the police, and those 7 million hours could be spent trying to solve crime.
Is there an issue, the same issue actually with the NHS? If the more efficient you get, the more you use AI, the more you use algorithms, the more you let the computers talk to one another, the danger is of A, being hacked, but B, just sort of an infringement of personal liberty and personal privacy. How concerning would you be that would you be with that as a Conservative?
Undoubtedly, you have to make sure that these systems are created to be safe, but there is no reason to think that any system that would be more technologically advanced would be less safe or infringe any more on liberty than the system as it stands. I mean, fundamentally, the problem at the moment is 9 out of 10 crimes in this country go unsolved. Now, what does that do for the liberty of the rest of us? If you send an unredacted document between the police and the Crown Prosecution Service, that isn't going to infringe anybody's liberty. Nobody else is going to see that, but it will save hundreds of hours of redaction time, and it will make the criminal justice process faster, more efficient and more effective. And when you're seeing victims wait for the sorts of times that we're seeing at the moment, I don't think that could be morally justified.
Staying in the world of policing, we're going to be speaking to the chair of Thames Valley Police Federation about the case of the killers of Andrew Harper being released in about 20 minutes' time. Would you support them taking the government to court to overturn this aspect of the policy that these two guys are going to be let out early?
I would support any route that would see PC Harper's killers stay in prison for the period of time that they are supposed to. What they did to him is completely unspeakable, and the idea that he will be released early, I think, is indefensible.
Let's stay around law and order then. A man called Joshua Bonehill-Paine has been selected to stand for Conservatives as a councillor in Somerset. He's a conviction for assaulting a police officer. He was jailed for 3 years in 2015 for posting, quote, vile anti-Semitic material online before a neo-Nazi rally. And in December 2016, he was convicted of racially aggravated harassment after writing blogs about Luciana Berger. He's since expressed contrition for the crimes, that's very clear. But someone with a criminal background like that, how can he possibly represent the Conservatives?
Well, what he did was awful. I mean, indefensible. But we believe in rehabilitation and redemption. Now, I don't know him personally, but his association who do know him clearly feel that he is a completely reformed character. As you say, he's expressed very deep remorse and has worked now, in fact, in countering extremism and in trying to help the government understand how people become radicalised and to stop them from doing it. Now, whether that is enough in the eyes of the public is a different question, and ultimately it will be up to them whether or not they want to elect him, whether or not they want him to represent them.
But are you comfortable with it? I mean, this is what Luciana Burgess said. He was convicted of racial harassment for 5 specific blogs. That wasn't all. He published reams of deeply racist, misogynistic and pornographic material about me. I was 6 months pregnant when I had to give evidence at the Old Bailey for this case. It was 2 days of hell. I count myself lucky, though. There were other victims whose lives he had totally destroyed. He showed zero contrition, thought it okay to do a full-blown Nazi salute to his supporters in the gallery. This case still haunts me. So he actually bothered a colleague of yours. He was anti-democratic. He was trying to harm the democratic process by being vile towards an MP. And you want him to serve as it's very well, he can be contrite, he can be rehabilitated in society. You want to put him inside the political system.
Well, there is no question that what he's done is totally awful. It can't be defended. It is indefensible. His association, who know him, which I don't, think that he is completely reformed and would have something to contribute to public life, perhaps also informed by what he knows about radicalisation and extremism. Now, like I say, it's up to the public to decide whether or not they agree with that.
But do you believe, as a point of principle, then, any criminal who says they're sorry can stand as a Tory councillor?
I don't think that there aren't any blanket rules about whether or not what you've done in the past automatically precludes you from standing for Parliament, or from he's not standing for Parliament, he's standing for local election. And the reason for that is that the people can decide. That's how our democracy works.
But are you really comfortable with this case? You recently said Gavin Barwell can't represent your party because he doesn't share your values. Grant Shapps can't stand again because he doesn't agree with the leadership. And yet a former neo-Nazi who has actively harmed a fellow MP is allowed in. Are you really comfortable with this?
Well, I just don't know this man, so it is very difficult for me to give a kind of definitive answer either way. The people who do know him clearly are comfortable with it. It is...
you don't sound very comfortable, Katie, if I'm honest.
It's a choice for them to make, and then it's a choice for the public to make. But I just don't know him. And I think it is important on these cases that you make a call individually and that you make a call person by person. And I simply don't know him, and I don't have the information to make that call. OK. Katie, good to speak to you. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. That's Katie Lam there. She's Opposition Assistant Whip.